How can you not? It's a simple question and one that drives the advocacy and commitment of our 2023 May Cook Heart of Gold Award recipient, Gail Shapiro. When Gail retired as a speech-language pathologist and educator, she said she was looking for something that would allow her to continue working with children in need of support. She went to a CASA information session and left thinking, you have to be crazy to do this as a volunteer. But lucky for us, Gail is just that kind of crazy. Since being sworn in as a CASA in February 2020, Gail has worked 6 cases involving 13 children of all ages. She's written 27 court reports, conducted over 500 visits with her CASA children, and driven a whopping 15,229 miles as part of her CASA work. Gail describes CASA work as the most rewarding and frustrating thing you will ever do. It wasn't long after Gail was sworn in that we started considering her for some of our most difficult and heart-wrenching cases. In Gail's case, that meant taking on a case with 6 children, in addition to her current case with a child placed in Richmond. Soon after that, we had a particularly difficult case of a boy also placed in Richmond, which Gail agreed to take on because after reading over the case, Gail simply stated, "How could I not?" After that, Gail attended a hearing for an unassigned case with 3 children and came back from court and said emphatically, "I want this case," which led to Gail becoming the first CASA volunteer to be approved by the state to have 4 cases at once. The children and families that Gail works with trust her implicitly, and they know that they can reach out to her in times of uncertainty and crisis, and she will pick up the phone and listen. Gail is known to many of the judges, DFS specialists, and GALs, and while she's been on the opposite side of issues at times, everyone recognizes her passion and professionalism and see her as the outstanding advocate that she is. Gail says one of her notable successes was the protective order case with the mother and her 6 children who had experienced unspeakable domestic violence at the hands of the father. The mother had no friends or family support nearby, and as part of her advocacy, Gail could see that supporting this mother was critical to keeping the children out of foster care. So Gail provided the support and encouragement the mother needed to schedule the court-ordered services, enroll the children in school, address housing issues, among many other things. There is no question the support and advocacy that Gail provided to the children and their mother has kept the children at home and out of foster care. Outside of the CASA world, Gail volunteers teaching English to people working to become naturalized citizens, and she teaches parenting skills classes. She also volunteers with a food bank and assists the elderly. Through her work with the at-risk population in Fairfax County, Gail has developed relationships with jail personnel, bail bondsmen, parole officers, court personnel, and her husband reports that she even receives the occasional piece of fan mail from incarcerated people she has met along the way. And no recognition of Gail is complete without one last story. A few years ago, Gail met a 17-year-old boy who was struggling with opioid addiction and was in and out of jail. He had suffered physical abuse and neglect as a child and had been in the foster care system most of his life. When this boy was released from jail, Gail went to pick him up. He had nowhere to go, no clothes, money, or possessions. His plan was to simply return to the streets and probably go back to opioid use. Instead, Gail thought, how can I not? She brought him to her house where he lived with Gail and her husband for 9 months. Today, this young man is thriving. He is starting a new chapter, has moved to his own apartment, is working towards his GED, and is part of Gail's family. And speaking of her family, Gail is a proud mother to Natalie, Perry, Carly, Alex, and their partners, and a dog mama to Bo and Lacey. Her husband of 37 years, Gary, a retired judge, says that he would not have been able to have the career he did without Gail's unwavering support. Gail is not much for the limelight, and she finds motivation in seeing the people she works with make progress and move forward in their lives. When thinking about Gail, I'm reminded of a quote from Maya Angelou: "Be a rainbow in somebody else's cloud." Gail comes into the lives of children and families during some of their darkest days, and through her kindness, empathy, and determination, she is a rainbow for each of them. And she has also been a rainbow for all of us here at Fairfax CASA, and we are so grateful for the privilege of working with her. Congratulations, Gail, on being our 2023 May Cook Heart of Gold Award recipient.